Caroline Leavitt boots Whoopi Goldberg off The View, live on air. Her response? Absolutely shocking. I could feel it. That electric anticipation in the air. The unspoken expectation. The subtle tension beneath the polished professionalism. A live studio where every single person believed they knew exactly how the next hour would unfold. The hum of controlled chaos buzzed through the set, cameras adjusting, producers whispering commands into their headsets. Overhead, the studio lights hummed softly, casting their warm glow over the stage. Sitting comfortably in her chair was Whoopi Goldberg, legendary talk show host, cultural powerhouse, and a master of the televised debate. She appeared relaxed, flipping through her notes with one hand, sipping her coffee with the other. But let's be real, she didn't need those notes. She had played this game before. She had done this hundreds of times, and in her mind, today was just another routine takedown. I adjusted the mic clip to my blazer, watching from the green room just off stage. The show's energy was unmistakable. Audience members were shuffling into their seats, some scrolling through their phones, others murmuring in hushed excitement. The rhythm of a live debate show was in full swing. But today, that rhythm? It was about to be shattered. I had been warned before stepping foot into the studio. They're setting you up, Caroline. They don't want a conversation. They want a viral moment. A soundbite. They'll cut you off before you can even finish a sentence. It wasn't my first rodeo. I knew exactly how this game was played. And I wasn't about to lose. Across the studio, Whoopi's co-hosts, Melissa Grant and Jonathan Reed, sat in their usual spots, chatting casually. Their body language screamed confidence, their expressions unbothered. They had been through this before. Another guest with opposing views. Another routine dismantling. They already saw the outcome in their minds, another easy win. I exhaled slowly, finishing the last sip of my water. I set the bottle down, feeling the slight tension of the mic wire against my skin. Even from where I stood, the warmth of the stage lights radiated toward me. I straightened my blazer, my fingers smoothing out the fabric as I watched the countdown clock. 10 seconds. The stage lights dimmed just slightly.
9.
The theme music surged through the speakers.
8.
The audience murmured in anticipation.
7.
Whoopi leaned forward, a practiced smile curving her lips. The kind that didn't quite reach her eyes. 6. The teleprompters flickered to life.
5.
I took a deep breath, rolling my shoulders back.
4.
Melissa subtly adjusted her posture, bracing for the first strike.
3.
Jonathan smirked, arms folded, exuding a quiet smugness.
2.
The cameras locked onto us.
1.
And action. The second my name was introduced, I felt it.
A shift.
An almost imperceptible ripple through the air. It wasn't visible, not something the cameras could catch, but I knew it was there. This was what they had been waiting for. I stepped onto the stage, making sure my movements were smooth, deliberate. The soft click of my heels echoed as I approached my seat, the buzz of the audience behind me fading into a low hum. Across the table, Whoopi Goldberg leaned in, her expression composed yet charged. A small smile tugged at the corners of her lips, but it was calculated. It wasn't warmth, it was something else. Anticipation. She was ready. This was her domain. She had played this role time and time again, welcoming guests onto her turf, luring them in, and methodically dismantling them piece by piece before they even knew what hit them. She thought today would be no different. I settled into my chair, adjusting my mic as my gaze swept over the room. The set was designed to feel warm and inviting, earthy tones, cozy lighting, everything engineered to give the illusion of a casual, free-flowing conversation. But I wasn't fooled. This wasn't a discussion. This was an ambush. And Whoopi wasted no time. "Caroline," she began, her voice smooth and controlled, the kind of tone used when presenting a statement disguised as a question. "Let's be honest, conservative media has been spreading a lot of misinformation. How do you defend that? A broad accusation. A calculated attack. The kind that forces an opponent onto the defensive before they can even plant their feet. It was a setup, one designed to make me scramble, to force me into playing defense from the very start. And the audience? Right on cue. A wave of applause. Murmurs of agreement. From the corner of my eye, I caught Melissa shifting in her seat, crossing her legs with an amused smirk. Jonathan leaned back, his arms still crossed, already looking victorious. They thought this was over before it even began. I let the applause settle. I didn't rush. Instead, I tilted my head just slightly, letting the silence stretch a fraction longer than was comfortable. Then I smiled. I think the real question is, I said, my voice steady, deliberate. Who gets to decide what's misinformation? The room shifted. Not in an obvious way, not something blatant enough to be caught on camera. But I felt it. A subtle hesitation. A small disruption in the script they had written in their minds. A few audience members stalled mid-clap. Melissa's gaze flicked to Whoopi, her smirk faltering just slightly. A flicker of something unreadable passed across her face. And just like that, the game had changed. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. Whoopi's smile remained intact, but I caught the slight tension in her fingers as they curled just a little against the table. A subtle tell, one that most people might miss. But I saw it. She scoffed, waving a dismissive hand through the air, her voice dripping with confidence. We fact-check everything on the show. We don't spread misinformation. I studied her for just a brief second, just long enough for the silence to stretch. Then, barely above a whisper, just enough for the microphone to catch it, I said, "Really?" One word, but it landed like a sharp blade. Whoopi's fingers flexed slightly against the table, curling inward before she quickly smoothed them out. The flicker of irritation in her eyes was so quick it could have been missed, but I caught it. I leaned forward slightly, lowering my voice just enough to make the moment more precise, more cutting. Because I can think of a few examples where that's not exactly true. It was subtle, but undeniable.
A shift.
A few audience members adjusted in their seats. Melissa's smirk, which had been so smug just moments before, faltered ever so slightly. Jonathan's eyes flicked toward the control booth, a silent check-in, a moment of quiet uncertainty. And just like that, the energy in the room changed. Whoopi recovered fast. She had to. A short, sharp laugh escaped her lips as she shook her head, dismissing me again with another wave of her hand. "Oh, please," she scoffed. "This is exactly what I'm talking about. Conservatives love playing the victim." A few claps. Not as many as before. And she noticed. I didn't react right away. Instead, I let her words settle in the air, let the silence stretch just long enough before I leaned back slightly in my chair, keeping my expression unreadable. Then, in a tone that was light, almost conversational, I said, "That's interesting." Whoopi blinked. I kept my tone measured, my posture loose, casual, controlled. Because for someone who says conservatives aren't silenced, I let the pause hang just long enough before finishing. "You seem awfully upset that I'm speaking." The silence wasn't immediate, but it was inevitable. Whoopi's lips parted slightly, as if reaching for a response, but for the first time, she hesitated. Melissa shifted. Jonathan's smirk?
Gone.
And right then I knew